watching a global celebration of all things Notre Dame, where we invite you to watch, connect, give, and vote. This is Notre Dame Day, live from the LaFortune Student Center.
Welcome back to Notre Dame Day. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to our 15th hour of Notre Dame Day. We've officially crossed the halfway mark. Welcome, Pete Byrne from WSBT.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
I was going to say, I really hope I'm saying the right one as it comes out of my mouth. I'm so glad you're able to join us, a Notre Dame grad as well.
Yeah, 1999. So it's been coming up on the 15-year reunion this summer. So the time is flying very quickly.
It is unnerving to say how many years you've been out, because I'm so used to saying, oh, I've been out 5 years or whatever. I graduated in 2005. I'm closing in on 10 years.
Closing in on 10. Go to the reunion. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Any excuse I have to come back. And I think my dad was just talking about, he's a 1974 grad, and he's like, I'm going to have to come back. I'm going to do the math poorly in my head. I should have checked this. 40 years, I think he said he's coming up on. Is that right?
Yeah.
30, 40?
Yeah,
yes, 40 would be right. Terrific. Well, welcome. So glad to have you with us.
Happy to be here. I've seen what you guys have been doing online. This is really kind of a cool venture that's going on here right now.
And we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah, we really do. If you've been watching since yesterday, we're certainly happy that the folks have been tuning in. And the next several hours of this broadcast, we know are going to be pretty special.
All right, well, we're looking forward to it. And who do we have up first? I understand we're going to be joining some different people around campus.
Yeah, we have a visit from one of Notre Dame's professors of Irish language. We're going to hear from John McGreevy, who's the Dean of Arts and Letters. And in addition to that, I think you're going to be chatting from some folks in Columbia, and that is the nation, by the way. Not the city in South Carolina, right? Yeah.
Or Missouri. There's a Columbia, Missouri. When they said, I thought, oh, maybe I'll see people I know. I'm in from St. Louis. But no. We're going to go. We're doing this the Notre Dame way. We're going around the world.
That's very, very cool.
Yep, we're very excited.
All right, well, first, I think we should go not too far around the world. Our good friend Ryan Camden's going to be joining us right now, live on campus. Ryan, where are you coming to us from right now?
Pete, I'm at the beautiful Leighton Concert Hall here at the DeBartolo Performing Arts Center, and at the piano to my right here is Notre Dame senior Frank Cooney. Frank, tell me how long you have, or when you first started to learn to play the piano.
I started learning when I was 3 years old, actually, so it's as far back as I can remember.
That's quite a long time. I also understand that you're a double major here at Notre Dame. What are you studying?
I'm currently a fourth-year student in the 5-year Rally program, so I'm studying electrical engineering and piano performance.
How neat, how neat. And most importantly, what are you going to be performing for us today?
I'm going to be playing the Chopin Nocturne, Opus 55, No. 2 in E-flat major.
Great. Take it away, Frank. What a beautiful performance by Notre Dame senior Frank Cooney, live from the Layton Concert Hall. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you so much. I was just saying how intimidating this class of students or this group of students is right now. What an extraordinarily well-rounded group.
I know, it makes you wonder how we got into school, doesn't it? These kids can do everything.
All the time, and I am so grateful I got in when I did and graduated and have the diploma to prove it.
He was a talented concert pianist. He's also an electrical engineer. So you put those two together, a lot of work, a lot of practice, but very impressive, like you said.
Absolutely. All right, well, we have some more coming up. It's certainly tough. You have a lot, it's pretty common to have a lot of double majors around here. I know you and I both said that we were one and done majors, but others are more well-rounded, and we're going to hear from people who are in charge of helping these students pick their paths.
Yeah, the man that could speak to it most probably knowledgeably would be the Dean of the College of Arts and Letters, John McGreevy. We're going to visit with him in just a few minutes, but first, I want you to take a look at all the different majors now that are available in this college.
Suppose you have a senior who's done all the classes in their major, who's done excellent work, who's still curious, who wants to make the best use of their time. Do we say you're done, or do we say, before you leave college, here is a final project that can help you pull everything together?
My major is classics. In high school, I was randomly placed in the Latin class. Somehow I fell in love with it.
I'm a political science major. I'm interested mostly in North Africa because culturally I find it fascinating. I absolutely love studying it, learning about it. I thought it would be helpful to have a senior thesis to show graduate schools in the future what I'm capable of, the kind of things that I'm interested in.
A senior thesis is a research immersion project. It gives students an opportunity to delve into something and think about it on their own.
Writing a senior thesis seemed to be the way where I could use the skills that I've learned over the past 3.5 years and bring it together into something that's like a serious scholarly endeavor. I studied abroad in Rome last semester, and while I was there, I kind of realized that, I had an interest in military history and in early Christianity. And so I thought it'd be great to do a senior thesis on something that brought those two topics together. When I first heard about the senior thesis camp, honestly, I looked at it and said, is this something I really want to do, give my fall break to sit in the library?
The idea of the camp is you would come to the library, meet with other students who are working on projects. You would have a structure that would encourage you and support you, but also provide a space where you could concentrate on your work.
When I'm working and researching, I think it's intense, challenging, and fulfilling all at once, especially if there's a time when I find an idea or I catch on to an idea that I think is critical to my thesis.
The reconstruction of the governments after the Arab Spring was something that I still wanted to devote a lot of time to studying.
I'm mostly interested in the newspapers that Tunisians themselves would be reading.
During the thesis camp, I met with Kathleen Fleming, who is the librarian who works with political science majors.
This is a big place. The library is a very large place with many, many resources. In the Hesburgh Library, there is a librarian available to you to help you find material for whatever project you may be working on.
Take about 4 or 5 minutes.
At the end of each day, Dr. Capdeville from the University Writing Center would gather us together.
We would talk about any obstacles that we had run into, problems that we had encountered, and solutions that we thought might solve those problems.
She wants to talk about the progress for the rest of.
The thesis camp was great for making friends. We're all still in touch via Facebook.
Camaraderie, the sense of camaraderie, I can't really explain how that developed, but it developed. I talked to people who are in PLS, in poli-sci, in engineering, in biology, and just learning about what they were doing and the methodology that they were using, and just being able to hear that they're going through the same struggles of, like, oh, I have so many distractions, or it's hard for me to focus in the afternoon. It was just great.
Did Tertullian have real expectations that he?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay.
Something that I've noticed in the case of Michael was that after the camp, he had greater clarity and direction in terms of the paper. It was much better organized, and it was, in a way that's hard to describe, a little bit thicker. It had more heft.
Yes, there are times when I just go, why am I doing this? It's my senior year. I should be having fun. There's great value in it because you obviously have shown you have a lot of discipline, you have a lot of focus, you have the ability to research. That's something great to show to potential employers.
Writing a senior thesis allows a greater level of accomplishment in a particular craft. that naturally develops the mind, and it also gives a justifiable sense of pride. So there's a certain pleasure in the accomplishment, which is entirely earned.
And joining us now in the studio for Notre Dame Day is the Dean of the College of Arts and Letters, John McGreevy. John, thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's great to be here, Pete.
I know you've got a lot of really exciting things going on right now in the College of Arts and Letters that I want to talk about. Tell me about some of the new programs that you guys have been working on.
Yeah, we're fired up. I mean, just this year, I think we're going to have 3 new programs developed, and we think all of them are going to really fit a great niche for our students. One is in financial economics and econometrics. Economics is now the biggest major in the university. We've seen a real surge in student interest in economics, and this will be a sort of high-end program for students who have a real interest in financial markets and particular interest in using higher-end math to look at financial questions. Another program that we're excited about is joint with the College of Science. This is the first ever program between 2 colleges equally. And it's in neuroscience, which is a big area out there in the world that a lot of people are interested in, that Notre Dame hasn't done that much in because we don't have a medical school. But now we have the opportunity to put together a really excellent undergraduate program. And so you can either do neuroscience through psychology, which is in arts and letters, or through biology, which is in the College of Science.
It's a really unique pairing. What were some of the challenges of creating that and blending the 2 schools together? You
know, it's always a little bit of a puzzle because you have to get 2 different groups of faculty to work together. But actually it worked out pretty smoothly because a lot of our scientists in both psychology and in biology have these deep interests in neuroscience, and they were fired up to do it. And once the faculty want to do it, and once we see that there's real student interest, it goes pretty smoothly from there.
Now you're running the largest college here at the university. What are some of the challenges that comes from having so many majors under one umbrella and so spread out?
You know, I look at less as challenge than opportunity. I think one of the great things about arts and letters is the variety of things that you can do in the college. And so we have 20 different departments, more majors than even the number of departments. We have about half the undergraduate students, about 40% of the graduate students, and all of that put together makes for a lively, vibrant enterprise.
It's a really exciting venture that's about to begin here on campus, the Campus Crossroads Project at the stadium, which I know a lot of people have probably heard about from now. How is that going to benefit your department? Because I know it's going to very heavily influence the College of Arts and Letters.
It's going to have a huge effect. For those who don't know, the Campus Crossroads Project is 3 buildings around the stadium. 1 building will be for student affairs, which is terrific. 2 other buildings are really going to shape arts and letters. On the south end of the campus, or the south end of the stadium, will be a new building for music. Our music building was built in the late 19th century, and we love that building, but it's not really adequate for what we're doing now. And we have a great undergraduate music program, and also what we think will be the world's best program in sacred music, and now they'll have facilities to match that. On the east side of the stadium, 2 separate departments will have new facilities, anthropology and psychology. Psychology right now is in 7 different buildings. I don't know if you remember Hager Hall, which is on the north end of the North Quad, which is not a building anybody's fighting for on campus. That building is just one part of the psychology department, which is spread out in 7 different buildings, and now they're all going to be together. Their labs, their classrooms, their faculty offices. It's going to be a tremendous dynamic space for students.
Can you talk about some of the advantages that gives to a certain department? I know I was an FTT major here, and that was largely spread out before it all kind of got put under the one umbrella and the new Leighton.
In the DPAC.
The DPAC building, yeah. Talk about some of the advantages that gives your faculty and your students being under one roof.
It's just such a big advantage. For the faculty, the big advantage is that the more experienced senior faculty will be next to, working with, advising, mentoring the less experienced younger faculty that we hire just out of graduate school. Right now, they never see each other. They're in different buildings, sometimes in way into South Bend, not just even on campus. For the students, I think the advantage is even bigger, because now a student can imagine going to a class, let's say on cognitive psychology, walking out to a lab and working with a faculty member on a particular project, and then going to that faculty member's office to talk about their senior thesis, all within the space of a few hundred yards. That's an incredible advantage for us.
It's got to be a little cool to be moving into the football stadium too. That's
a
nice advantage.
Very cool. We're excited. I think this is a nice marriage of athletics and academics that maybe you could only pull off at Notre Dame. And we think it's going to really benefit our programs.
All right, John, well, I appreciate your time. It was wonderful speaking with you.
Great pleasure.
The good work here on campus.
Thank you very much.
Again, John McGreevy, Dean of the College of Arts and Letters, and now let's go back to Abby at the desk.
All right, thanks so much, Pete. And I am excited to be joined by a member of the Notre Dame family celebrating Notre Dame Day in her own way, live via video chat. It's Camilla from the Notre Dame Club of Columbia. And can you hear me, Camilla?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. And I had to clarify a few times over, we're going to Columbia, and I said South Carolina, Missouri, and they said no, Columbia. So welcome. We're so excited to have you here. Tell me exactly where you are.
Well, right now I'm at my office. Since it is Monday morning, this is the way we have to join the Notre Dame Day celebration.
We're so excited to have you. What time is it in Columbia?
It's actually an hour behind Notre Dame, so it's 8:20.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we're not getting you up too early then. Terrific. Well, tell me a little bit about, we're gonna take you back to your time with Notre Dame. What is your favorite thing about the school?
Well, I gotta say that when you get to Notre Dame, you win a family, and through the alumni club, you're able to continue being part of that family wherever you are, even in Columbia. So that makes me very happy to be able to be a part of that and to continue to be in the university even after the 4 years of our undergrad.
Yeah, we talked earlier to some folks from admissions, and they were saying it's not a 4-year deal, it's a 40-year deal, and I think people would argue that it's much more than that. So we're very excited that the Notre Dame tradition is alive and well so far away. Do you get back to campus very often?
Well, I haven't been back since I graduated, but I was able to go to Miami for the bowl game. So that was fun, and that was a way to see most of my friends. I feel like we moved Notre Dame to Miami for a week.
Well, I was there with you, whether you knew it or not. I was there at the bowl game. It was an exciting couple of days, and it was such an exciting season for Notre Dame. And are you excited about the football season coming up? Do you still follow the Fightin' Irish?
Yes, we do. We join with the club, and we do a little bit. We bring America to Columbia. One of the nice things about the club is that we have many Americans here in Columbia. So we try to make them feel like home, especially in football season, because we know that's a time where they especially miss home.
And I know that that's very important to give people that sense of community, that sense of family that we have all around the world when it comes to Notre Dame. So it's wonderful that you're bringing that to Columbia. And I know that there's a little bit of competition for football there. It's not just football American style, but football that you're more familiar with soccer in our world. So it's good to know that you're spreading the love of American football. Have you recruited any fans?
We have. We bring our families, our boyfriend, we try to join them to the party that's American football, but I have to be honest, from now to the end of July, we won't be talking about American football. It will be all soccer.
All right, well, we're so glad that you're able to do that. And my final question to you is, if there is one thing you could tell the Notre Dame family about the experience, about what it's like to be part of this family, what would it be?
Well, there's something that's very particular about our club that I would like to share. One of the most important and best universities in Colombia today is the Andes University. And 50 years ago, they were in their beginnings. So the way it worked was people would do 2 years here in Colombia, and then they had to go to the US to finish their school and get a title. So some of those people actually went to Notre Dame. So we have alumni here that graduated over 50 years ago, and they're part of this nice history when the universities came together, and the American universities were essential for the history and the formation of the University of the Andes. So that's very interesting. Then on the other hand, we have a lot of young alumni, so we have a nice interaction there. And just I would like everyone at Notre Dame to know that if they ever come to Columbia, we know it's an interesting investing destination these days, to feel that the Notre Dame Club is here to help them in whatever they need. And we feel that we've been doing that for some people, and it's been very important for them.
Well, thank you so much for all of that information. That's amazing and great to know that there is such a rich history of Notre Dame in Colombia. Thank you so much, Camilla, for joining us from all the way from Colombia. We do appreciate your time and have a great day. Thanks so much.
No, thank you for having me.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. We are excited now to welcome a special guest from a different faraway country. Bryan O'Conaicher is the professor of Irish language and literature, and Pete Byrne is live with him in the studio. Pete?
Thanks, Abby. Yes, I'm here with Professor Bryan O'Conaicher. Thank you for stopping by. I know you're a professor of Irish language and literature. You're also from the nation of Ireland. How often do you get to go back home?
Depending on conferences, approximately twice, maybe three times a year.
Now, I know that your Department of Irish Language and Literature is the oldest of its kind in North America. It seems to be a perfect fit here at Notre Dame.
The home of the Irish. We've been teaching Irish here at Notre Dame inconsistently since the 1860s, while the university was founded by Father Sorin and the French priests. There was a very strong Irish contingent amongst the first generation, second, third and fourth generation priests, brothers and sisters who were part of the fabric, the founders of Notre Dame. And if you walk through the graveyard, either graveyard on campus, you'll see the Irish names, and they're the people who taught Irish history, Irish language, Irish music here at Notre Dame.
We were talking, I've been to the nation once, and when you go to Ireland, people basically speak English. I wasn't really aware that there was an Irish language, but it's obviously something that they're very proud of, and it goes back a very, very long time.
Yeah, it's the indigenous language of Ireland. It's still spoken predominantly as a first language on the west coast, on the islands. Growing number of urban speakers in the cities on the east coast, but it's the oldest vernacular literature in Europe north of the Alps. And it's a wonderful opportunity for our students here at Notre Dame to gain access to Irish and European culture.
Since we're at Notre Dame and you've been here a while, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, when I say football, do you think of a white round ball or a brown oval?
The white, yeah. the circular football, the proper game. Even though I've become accustomed to Notre Dame football, it's hard to escape it when you've been here for a few years.
Very appropriate. Notre Dame's the home of the Keogh Naughton Institute for Irish Studies, something that you're very involved in. Tell me about the work that goes on with that institute.
Yeah, the Keogh Naughton Institute, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. It's the premier Irish Studies research and teaching institute in North America and possibly even globally. We teach, research Ireland, Irish studies, the impact of the Irish on America and how the United States impacts contemporary Ireland. We send our students to Dublin and to Ireland for semesters and for year-long study abroad breaks. We also bring over top-notch academics from Ireland to lecture here on campus. And at the moment, as we approach 2016, the anniversary, the centenary of the 1916 Rising, the Keogh Naughton Institute for Irish Studies is sponsoring a three-part groundbreaking documentary on the Easter Rising, which was the kicking off point for Irish independence.
So that will be a big celebration for your institute.
No, it'll be a landmark event.
You're also the director for the Center of Study of Languages and Cultures. How many different languages are actually taught here on campus?
We teach 14 languages extensively and a couple of other languages to a lesser degree, but we have 14 major languages.
Okay, I'm not big into foreign languages, but I'm going to put you to the test. Maybe you can help me out here and teach me a few Irish words before we let you go. How would you say Notre Dame Day in Irish?
It's really easy. Notre Dame, Law Notre Dame.
Law Notre Dame. Okay, and how about Go Irish?
Well, you could say Éire Abu or Notre Dame Abu.
Notre Dame Abu.
It was the battle cry of the fighting 69th.
Excellent, excellent. We should work that into the Saturdays here. How about touchdown? Is that one we can do?
Ooh, that's a hard one. In rugby, a try would be an ood, which is basically the same idea. So let's go with ood.
All right. Well, appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
I know we're going to get a chance to visit with some of your students very soon, Professor. But thank you for the time coming here. And we are going to talk to some of those students, as I mentioned, who are studying languages at Notre Dame. Now let's take a look at a video feature, including one of the innovative languages programs here in the college.
I studied in Cuenca, Ecuador.
Amman, Jordan.
Freiburg, Germany.
It was a great experience.
Estudié en otro país este año. With my language skills, I did not think by any means that I would be where I am today.
I know for a fact that I improved phenomenally while I was there.
You're just immersed in the language. Große Geschichte, and you really just have to learn it and be on your game the whole time.
Summer Language Abroad is a grant offered through the CSLC. You can pick really anywhere in the world to go and study a language in an intensive environment.
One of the best parts about the SLA program is that you kind of go on your own. It's not a study abroad program where you go with a large group of Notre Dame students. It gives you an opportunity to really figure out who you are. Before you leave, you take a test that kind of gauges where you're at with the language, and then when you come back, you take the same test to see how much you've grown.
And when you're actually over there, you do a blog to keep posts on how you're doing and what you're learning, and also take pictures and put those up.
Taking classes abroad is very different than taking classes here at Notre Dame. When you take classes abroad and you learn things about the language, and then you go back home and you're able to use those things, it really just speeds up the language acquisition process.
When you go abroad, you can learn a lot from your classmates and your teachers, but what's going to be important is being out in the world and really knowing how to interact that way. My last day there, I got on the train and this woman was in the car with me, and she just told me her whole life story in German. It was awesome. I made the most of that experience, and I'm really happy that I did.
There's a lot of stuff that you really can't get out of the textbooks. You can stay at Notre Dame for 4 years and study the language, but there are some things that really are just going to slip by if you don't get over there.
I didn't think I could achieve the things that I achieved during my summer in Ecuador. I absolutely see this as a part of my life in the future. I'm striving for a career abroad or a career somewhere where I can continually use my Spanish.
Academically, with my language, I feel a lot more confident in my classes, reading and speaking. After 1 month, I can go up to a Jordanian guy in a shop and just shoot the breeze with him. Without that grant, I couldn't have done that.
For the SLA grant, part of it is to write a postcard to the person who donated all the money to your grant.
Which is just really a great way to thank the donor and to tell them a little bit about what you're doing and how important this trip has been. For me, words can't say how much this trip has meant to me.
Danke.
Shukran.
Muchísimas gracias a mi donor.
Every time that I talk about this grant to anybody, I am always pushing for them to apply for it, and I just can't talk about it without having a smile on my face. It was absolutely the best month of my life.
And joining us now are 3 students studying languages here at Notre Dame. Guys, I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. We're calling it the Notre Dame introduction. Name, hometown, dorm, and I'm going to throw major in there too. So we'll start right here with Dom.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Dominic Romeo from Turlock, California, not so famously also referred to as the almond capital of the world. And I am a senior in Keough Hall, a political science and Chinese major.
Hi, I'm Lai. I'm from Aurora, Colorado. I live in Baden Hall, and I'm majoring in economics and minoring in Chinese and education, schooling, and society.
Hi, I'm Isabella. I'm a Russian and political science major from Laredo, Texas, and I live in Ryan Hall, and I'm a senior graduating this year.
All right, such exciting times ahead for you guys, and some of you have already experienced some really great, you've had some really great impressions of not only this campus, but of the world, and you've taken the Notre Dame mission elsewhere through your study of languages. Tell me a little bit about that. Dom, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about what got you involved in the study of languages here at Notre Dame.
Yeah, great. So when I came to Notre Dame, I was encouraged by my mom for some unknown reason to study Chinese, and so I did. And on a whim, I decided to apply for a grant through the Center for the Study of Languages and Cultures. Ended up receiving it, and then that summer I had an opportunity to go to Beijing and study Chinese intensively, and that kind of got me hooked. And since then, it's become like this integral part of my undergraduate study experience. It's been really fun.
And such a valuable thing to have with you as you graduate and head out into the working world, which you have ahead of you in a very short time.
I do, yeah, very short. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was recently awarded a scholarship from the Chinese government to study for a PhD at Beijing Normal University, so that's been really fun. And I was able to draw upon a lot of the experience, a lot of the resources that that were provided to me at the university, like the Center for the Study of Languages and Cultures, in order to get that scholarship. So it's been great.
All right, and Lai, you mentioned earlier you just received word that you have something very exciting coming up. You received a grant as well.
Yes, I will be going to Shanghai, China this summer through the Summer Language Abroad grant through the Center for the Study of Languages and Cultures.
All right, and do you have any expectation of what you'll be doing?
Yes, I'll be studying abroad there for 10 weeks. For the first 6 weeks, I'll be taking Chinese classes, and then for the last 4 weeks, I'll be interning at a local business or company. And I think this is a great opportunity to immerse myself in the Chinese culture.
It does sound like an amazing opportunity. I'm very envious of the summer ahead. And Isabella, your experience has been just a little bit different. Tell us what you have been doing.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, I also received the Summer Language Abroad grant, and I was supposed to go to Russia, and unfortunately, due to their really strict visa policies, we didn't receive our visas. And so 6 weeks before I was supposed to leave, I found out that I was actually going to end up in Kiev, Ukraine. I absolutely wouldn't have traded the experience for anything else. It ended up being an amazing summer, and I was able to learn Russian as if I had been in Russia.
Were you so nervous when things changed?
Yeah, I kind of had this freak out that was like, I'm no longer going to Russia. And that was a huge stepping stone. And then once I got over it, Kiev ended up being absolutely amazing. And it gives me a closer tie to everything that's happening right now.
I'm sure it does. Those aren't just news stories to you. That is really impacting the place where you lived.
Exactly, with a host family additionally. So it's also concern for their safety and what's going on in their lives.
It is incredible to talk to Notre Dame students and to realize the reach that this university has. It is not just on campus. It has a hand in so many places around the world. And you guys are we have seniors amongst us now that as you mentioned, you're getting ready to head out. How do you plan to use the language skills that you acquired here at Notre Dame in your future endeavors? I know that that's very much a part of what you're doing in your very next step.
Yeah, eventually I hope to work for the State Department at the U.S. Embassy in Beijing, and having fluency in Chinese is a must if you want to do that. So that's how I plan on using it.
All right, and Lai, I know that you still have a little bit of time left to make your decisions, but do you have any idea what you want to do and how you want to use your language skills?
Yes, at this point I'm not quite sure, but I'm thinking about working at an international setting someday, whether that's in business or in education. But the CSLC has certainly provided me with the resources to pursue those global opportunities, whether that's through the SLA grant or through peer tutoring. So.
All right, and Isabella, how about you?
Well, I studied abroad in St. Petersburg, and so I'm looking to return there on a graduate program. And while the course is in English, I'm looking to study Russian while I'm there as well. And being a Russian tutor right now at the Center for Studies of Languages and Cultures, I know that I want to work with people because I love helping people out and watching people develop in their language journey.
Well, such exciting futures for all of you, and what wonderful ambassadors for the University of Notre Dame. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. And happy Notre Dame Day to all of you.
Happy Notre Dame Day to you.
Thank you, and good luck to those of you who are graduating in the next couple of weeks. So exciting, nerve-wracking, but so exciting. Yeah. Thank you. All right, and we are now going to be checking in from Rudy to President Josiah Bartlett. We are asking what makes Notre Dame so popular in movies and TV. We hear from film professor Don Crafton and documentary filmmaker Ted Mandel.
I'm doing an internship with CBS News out of their broadcast center here in Manhattan. Working with the investigative unit within CBS News, working very closely with producers, pitching stories, researching, fact-checking. This is Adam from CBS News. That all contributes to all CBS News platforms. Think of it this way. What if we could tell you, as a part of the CBS internship program, you get assigned to do a group project. I got selected to anchor the project. They treated me just like anybody else, which I really appreciated that, and it really made for an experience that I'm not going to be forgetting anytime soon. Living in Manhattan is not easy, mentally or financially. It takes a lot of getting accustomed to. The Arts and Letters Summer Internship Program grant has really helped support me during the summer. It's so important to get experience outside of the classroom and in the real world, and the internship is the perfect opportunity to do that.
Now, whether you've watched Rudy once or 100 times, and for people at Notre Dame, it's probably closer to the latter than the former, right? Notre Dame in film and television is definitely a popular subject, and we've been debating what are the best all-time moments of Notre Dame on the silver screen. And joining us now are two professors from the Film, Television, and Theater Department, Don Crafton and documentary filmmaker Ted Mandel. And before we get into this, I got to put you guys on the spot a little bit. I recently had my third child this month, and I've been waking up every morning feeling kind of old these days. But then I come in here and I see two guys who taught me 15 years ago. It puts a little spring in my step. But it's
now
great.
Who's old?
Yeah,
now who's feeling old, right?
But it's definitely great to see you guys both here. And again, on the topic of Notre Dame in cinema and in television, it's something that keeps popping up. And so we're curious, what makes Notre Dame such a part of pop culture?
I'll defer to Don on this one.
Well, it's a legend. It's one of the great stories of athletics, of the triumph of small school over adversity. It's a Catholic story. It's a story about America, you know. It's a story that everybody grows up with, whether they're into sports, regardless of where they live or anything. It's just part of what we are.
You know, Peter, what I was thinking is that you think of Rudy and you think of Newt Rockne All-America. Yeah. And what you have is you have Notre Dame associated with two characters who people really love. And two characters who are A, passionate and very caring. And you know, I think that really describes Notre Dame, is that it's not really Notre Dame, it's the people at Notre Dame. And by having those kind of enduring characters that A, we're rooting for, but these are people in Rudy's character and in Newt Rockne's character who are very passionate and they're very caring. And I think that describes just about every one of these people behind the cameras.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're here.
I think the other thing that blends well in the pop culture, and Ted, I know you run into this a lot in the digital media side, is that at least athletically, Notre Dame has a lot of these Notre Dame moments that we like to talk to them. I mean, in Rudy, for example, it's just a play, but it's become an iconic play. And how all these great moments in athletics, they make for good TV and good film.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have, you know, it's the underdog. I mean, I think that's what Notre Dame has always been, the Fighting Irish, the underdog character, the person that we really root for in the end. And I think that's what people love in filmmaking. They love someone they can root for.
And these films are also a promise of someone who comes out of a place where there's teamwork, there's brotherhood, there's a sense of belonging together, and you can join up and you can win against the odds. So that moment in Rudy where this little guy's picked up and carried off the field, or you know, any of the locker room speeches, and Newt Rockne, or this other film nobody's ever heard of called The Spirit of Notre Dame, 1931. You have these defining moments, and I think that story is the story of Notre Dame, this little small school in the prairie that somehow expanded and became triumphant in athletics and then academics, and it's a story that everybody wants to believe.
But you mentioned the camaraderie and the brotherhood. That's very much Notre Dame, from the dorm life to the life in the classrooms. You may even see it probably more in your department than most, the collaboration between students on film and video projects. It's very, very, it's very prevalent. We've talked about some of the things that we all love. What about some of the myths that persist about Notre Dame in television and film? What are some of those?
Rudy and Newt Rockne.
Yeah, exactly.
Newt Rockne. I was going to say Newt Rockne and Rudy, but
I think it's, you know, it's great storytelling, and you know, it's more about the story than whether or not the character was exactly how the real person was. And you know, you were a filmmaker, right, Pete? Back in the day. Were you in Rudy?
I was. Yeah, I may have been in the background. I was in the stadium when they did the Georgia Tech stuff, but you know, one of 60,000 proud.
We've had a lot of students who actually were in that film. I was actually here when the film was made, and we have a lot of students who, from our department, go on and work in Hollywood and are behind the scenes a lot. So even the process of filmmaking, process of making that film, Rudy, was a collaborative effort.
I actually made a film that Don starred in, but that's getting way off track, so we won't.
You were the best director I ever had, and this was certainly my starring vehicle, thanks to you.
You must have one film credit to your name, right?
We're going to dig it up. It's on YouTube. We'll find it.
Please do. I would love to see that again. I want to talk a little bit about, we've been talking about Notre Dame movies. If you were to rank your top 5, Don, what would that look like, that list?
Well, starting from number 5 and counting backwards, they're pretty obscure. One is not really a movie, it's an episode of The Simpsons.
Okay, yeah.
Where Marge dreams of Protestant heaven and Catholic heaven. And when she dreams of Catholic heaven, we see Riverdance, and the guys are all wearing Notre Dame t-shirts dancing. So that's number 5. Number 4, I would say, is, again, a very obscure film called Too Many Girls. And Desi Arnaz of, you know, I Love Lucy, Lucy and Desi. He's a college student, and he's debating over where to go to school, Notre Dame or USC. And his priest is really pressuring him to go to Notre Dame, but I won't tell you how it's no spoilers here. But then number 3, 2, and 1 all have to be the locker room speech in Newt Rockne All-American, of course, where we see that great Pat O'Brien delivery, but then it's also in Rudy as a plaque on the wall. And the first version of it is in this 1931 film called Spirit of Notre Dame. And that speech where the coach finds that defining moment in the story of George Gipp.
Yeah.
And how from the grave, Gipp inspires them. That's always one of the plot points, as we call it in the films, but it's also that kind of epiphany where everything opens up and, you know, you get the goosebumps and the music wells up on the soundtrack and you know, you want to go Notre Dame at that point. So any of those films.
I'm going to pose the same question to you now, Ted, the top 5, and disclaimer, you can't count your own films. You just did the 88 and 1, which was really, really well done, by the way. But we're going to take that one off the table for the time being. Top 5 Notre Dame films that you didn't put together.
Well, you know,
in your opinion.
To add to Don's obscure television episodes, there's an episode of Friday Night Lights where Jason Street is recruited by Notre Dame. And so I think that's one of the more recent episodes. I also like the West Wing character, Jeb Bartlett, the president, Martin Sheen's character, who is a big, you know, he's a Notre Dame grad. He's really into Notre Dame. So I don't know if there's a specific episode of that one, but The Spirit of Notre Dame is an interesting film that Don mentioned because that was actually the film that Knute Rockne was going to sign a contract to be in when his plane crashed on the way in Kansas. So I find that's kind of an interesting film. There's another film, Please Come Home, John Goldfarb, that was actually on the cover of Sports Illustrated, 1965, is that right? 1965. That was actually a pretty big Hollywood film that it kind of got pushed aside. I don't think it was a successful film. And then you go to, obviously, Rudy and Knute Rockne, All-America. I would have to put Rudy as the top Notre Dame film of all time, simply because of not only its endurance and popularity amongst Notre Dame fans, but how it transcends Notre Dame. It's not just Notre Dame, it's sports films in general. That is considered one of the best all-time sports films. So I would put Rudy as number 1.
It's a lot more Hollywood and a lot less biopic.
Right,
I would say,
exactly.
Yeah.
I would add that it's also the top legendary film for the College of Holy Cross.
That's true, that's true.
So many of the students who go into Holy Cross go there because they've seen Rudy and they want to take the Rudy route into Notre Dame.
I had a student one summer from Guam, and I said, how did you get from Guam to Notre Dame? And she says, I just saw that movie Rudy. And she said, I just thought that was a beautiful campus, and that's literally how she got here. So, great recruiting tool for Notre Dame.
No question. Well, guys, I appreciate both of your time for coming here. Ted,
Great
Don,
seeing you, Pete.
Good to see both again.
Always a
Thanks for
pleasure.
your time. Keep up the good work in FTT. We got to take a break right now, but before we do, we're going to head back into the social media center where Notre Dame Day reporter Ryan Camden is standing by. Ryan, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks, Pete. Of course, we're joined by Jonathan Ratartha, who has been studying, monitoring the social media stats all evening, all morning. Jonathan, we were just talking. You said you've seen some major activity this Monday morning. What's been going on?
You know, things have really been peaking. We've had a lot of our internal partners all over the university. They've been coming out on social media, pushing for the votes. I want to thank, first of all of you who have participated so far, who have gone to NotreDame.nd.edu, who've hit the big green Give and Vote button, which you can see here. It's so easy. You make your gift, then you're given your choices for your 3 votes. We appreciate it so much. We have people tuning in all over the world, India, China, Pakistan, Ireland. We really appreciate it. We'll give you a sense here of what's happening on social media. Notre Dame women's basketball. We loved having Natalie Achunwa and Jewel Lloyd in with us last night. They say good morning, happy Notre Dame Day. Notre Dame Club of Minnesota, shout out to you guys. Proud to be ND. Happy Notre Dame Day. Notre Dame Club of Miami, please help donate to our club. So the clubs are really starting to get out there. We love seeing you guys from all around the world. Heard from London very early this morning. They were so fired up for Notre Dame Day. Some of our other followers, Alan Taggart, so proud to see the breadth and depth of my alma mater on ND Day. Notre Dame Science, ND Day is here. Watson College of Science next hour, 10 a.m. They're trying to get the word out. And then Phil, happy ND Day. I gave and voted today. Everybody, if you're getting out there, if you're participating, let us know on social media. Let the world know that you believe in the work that Notre Dame's doing here. And we're going to have a tremendous day because of your support. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Speaking of support, last count, 1,063 gifts, over $500,000 raised. Thanks so much to all of you. We still have a lot of hours left in the day, but we need you to get on NotreDameDay.nd.edu. Make your gift today. Let's check out the leaderboard, see where we're at. We're going to have our Residence Hall challenges going in the next hour. As you can see, undergraduate business still on top of academics. Athletics, rowing. Rowing's been all over social media, and it really shows in the giving, along with women's basketball. They're on top of the athletics leaderboard right now. They're doing a tremendous job. Our clubs are coming through as well. Colorado Springs, they've been on top all night long. They're still there, so a big shout out to everybody in Colorado. And residence halls, Morrissey's still on top. A lot of guys' dorms heavy at the top. Ladies, it's your turn. Head to NotreDameBay.nd.edu. Support the residence halls. Their kids are going to be out there doing their challenges out on North Quad all day long. We need you to back them up with your votes and get them another $1,000 in challenge funds. What do you got next hour?
Thanks, John. Of course, a lot of great stuff. We don't want you going anywhere. We'll have a live visit with the Notre Dame Club of India. We'll have Dean Crawford from the College of Science with us on set, Coach Parsegian, Notre Dame professor Justin Krepp, and of course, one more residence hall challenge between Phillips and Farley. Don't go anywhere. There's a ton of more coming up on Indy Day, live at the top of the hour.